You may be hearing a lot of these metaphysical concepts like raise your vibration, raise your frequency, and all this is supposed to shift you out of the state of despair and transcend you into that 5D reality where you're just living in this ocean of bliss. But no matter how much effort you're putting into this, you still find yourself within the state of despair, within the state of loneliness, and you just can't seem to achieve that higher state of vibration that all these spiritual people out there are talking about. In this video, I'm going to share with you how to break free from this frequency trap. Why is it that we still find ourselves vibrating negatively or with these very low frequencies, and we just can't seem to shift out of it and transform our lives, attract those meaningful connections in our life, and break free from this loneliness cycle? I'm going to share with you 3 fundamental factors that can help you break free from this frequency trap. But before I get started, some of you may be wondering, what is this frequency and vibration that I'm referring to? I'm talking about frequency and vibration from a metaphysical or spiritual context. From this context, the understanding is that everything vibrates or has a resonant frequency. So your thoughts, your emotions, and physical objects all generally would have a frequency. When we refer to things that vibrate at a high frequency, we're referring to those emotions like love, bliss, joy. Those tend to have a very high frequency. The lower frequencies are your frequencies like guilt, shame, fear, anger. All of those generally have a lower frequency. Now, when we talk about shifting your vibration, it's trying to shift yourself into those higher vibrations so that you can become more magnetic to attracting those meaningful connections. Because when we keep ourselves within these low frequencies of fear, of hatred, jealousy, all these low frequencies tend to repel a lot of people or attract the negative relationships within our life. Now let's dive right into these 3 fundamental factors that are keeping you in this low frequency trap. The most important factor is your actions. Your actions are sabotaging that shift to your desired frequency. And because we don't pay attention to the actions, or we allow them to run unconsciously, they're still sending that very same messaging of that lower state of vibration to your subconscious mind. And that, in the end, results in the embedding of those past beliefs, the reinforcing of those past beliefs. I'll give you an example. If I reflect on my life, and I was trying to shift my life out of this scarcity mindset to move into a state of abundance, and I'd already read the books where they tell you to start thinking like a person who is wealthy, start thinking and having thoughts that are synonymous with a person who is a millionaire. And by doing this, you will slowly start to shift out of the state of scarcity. And I could be holding these thoughts and holding these beliefs and doing the meditations. However, I was still constantly bringing more and more scarcity into my life. And I was wondering, this program to start shifting your beliefs is just not working for me. Maybe I'm different. Maybe that's the reason why it's not working for me. However, there's all these testimonials of all the people that it worked for. What I started to recognize is that there were those actions that I was not putting enough attention to, that was still signaling to my subconscious mind that I live within a scarcity framework. So I used to walk into a store and become very doubtful when making a purchase. I wouldn't go into the store and just grab the item that I want and get out of there. I would go there and start contemplating whether I should buy it. I find it expensive. Maybe it's not something that I should buy. Pick it up, drop it down, pick it up again, and constantly have this doubt that is playing off in my mind. And that action or that past behavior of always going into a store and doubting when you want to buy something is something that was reinforcing, it's an action that was reinforcing the state of scarcity. So even though my mind is now starting to think thoughts like, yes, I believe that I am worthy of being a millionaire, my actions are sabotaging that leap into a state of abundance. So similarly, whatever you're trying to overcome from a frequency standpoint, it's to start becoming very mindful of those often unconscious actions that you're taking because of past behavior patterns that reinforce that cycle of actions that are synonymous with that lower frequency. The second factor that's really important is to pay attention to your base level frequency. Now, what do I mean by level frequency? I mean, it's a frequency that you come back to. So after you consciously try and shift your thoughts positive, what is that base emotional state that you revert back to? Is it a state that is synonymous with the higher vibrations, or is it a state that is more on the neutral level? Now, if you're still finding yourselves on the neutral level, it means that basically we have not done enough work to shift our vibrational state into that higher vibrational state that allows us to become more magnetic. And all that it means is that we need to do more work. So oftentimes we give up because we say, all the thoughts that I'm taking are not really shifting where I'm at. It probably doesn't work. It doesn't work because we haven't done it enough, or we haven't coupled it with the other aspects like your actions, your thoughts, in order to get your base level vibration higher than where it currently is. So that's something that is also so critical to remind yourself that you need to constantly be thinking about where you're reverting back to. Are you reverting back to a higher vibration? We may have become more aware of those very significant events in our life that push us into becoming more mindful about the perspective that we're taking in, to start to consciously take that glass half full perspective whenever we encounter these situations. However, there's something else that is bringing us back to a base level frequency that is lower, and that is our subtle thoughts that are being entertained within our mind. I often used to entertain these thoughts that I'm different and I don't belong, or I'm not worthy of being in the company of others, or that was at least the origination of that thought of I'm different, is that original feeling that it gave rise to. And because I'm still entertaining those thoughts, maybe starting to at least become a little bit more aware of it, I now need to recognize that these subtle thoughts are what is sabotaging my ability to shift my vibrational state and keep me in. It's almost like it's imprisoning me within this lower vibrational state because I'm not yet bringing enough awareness to all those subtle thoughts, because a lot of our life originates with all these behaviors and patterns that gave rise to our overall base level frequency. And now it's like doing a lot of the work that needs to constantly be plowing through this. It's almost like going into a warehouse of all these filing cabinets, and they're all filed with behaviors and patterns that were creating the identity or image of who we were. And now we're going through this process of having to purge through all of these old patterns to start to take them. It's going to take a lot of time. It's not going to be something that instantly we end up in a higher vibrational state. For some people, they might get there. For others, it's going to be a lot of work to start to go through that and start to bring more awareness to the thoughts that are subtly going through our mind and pulling us back. And that gets me into my final key factor, because I think it's something that is so important, is to bring that awareness, have more and more awareness being brought into the picture. Try and be more mindful, else we're constantly going to end up manifesting this reality of that is synonymous with these lower vibrations or this neutral vibrations in our life. And by bringing more awareness, we can start to recognize even the subtle thoughts and the subtle actions that are sabotaging us. And that is so important, to bring in that greater element of mindfulness to this whole picture, because if we want to make the shift, we have to start bringing in awareness. And it's not easy. And I often analogize it to something that I'm working on. and I've been working on for a number of years in terms of my speaking. I used to use a lot of filler words, a lot of ums, so's, ahs whenever I speak. And I used to get so annoyed with it because whenever I was speaking to people, I used to litter my sentences with filler words. And even though I still struggle today to speak eloquently because I might not be flowing as eloquently as some of the very professional speakers, but I know it's a journey in order to get there. I need to do more work in order to develop my skill set. And it calls for a lot of awareness, because there were times when I was aware that I was using filler words, but because I would let that awareness slip, I would constantly revert back to those past behaviors. It calls for more and more greater awareness being put in there. Like I said, there's still a lot of work that I need to do in terms of developing my public speaking skills, but it's a good analogy that it's when we bring the awareness to that is how we can start to shift away from it. If I want to be better, I need to bring more awareness to the aspects or the thoughts that I need to change, and then use conscious intention to start directing me to somewhere where I want to be. And it's a very hard exercise because a lot of people aren't able to make this instant shift to a higher vibration because of these subtle elements that are sabotaging our ability to make that shift. So be it your actions, be it what are the subtle thoughts that are linked to your base level frequency, and not having enough awareness could be what is sabotaging you from making that shift, rather than saying, I'm constantly manifesting a negative reality even though I'm taking those minute actions. It's calling for a lot more work. It's calling for us to dive deep into our life and the patterns that are running in order to shift the manifestation of our reality to reflect a totally new identity. It's not easy to change our identity. It's something that requires a lot of work and a lot of consciousness to be brought into our life. The more conscious we can become, the easier we can make it to shift our identity and to raise our vibration and attract meaningful connections within our life or the reality that we wish to live. So thanks so much for watching this video. I hope some of these points resonate with you. With that, I hope to see you in my next video.